Good evening, good morning, good night, good day, wherever you're watching this transmission. 'Tis I, Mike Martins, bringing you trends in the housing market. Today is the 5th of April, 2018, and we are in Q1 number territory, people. Officially, we are in Q1 number territory. We got the comments rolling now. We got open lines tonight. We can take a few crank calls. What else we got going on? We got lots of housing discussion. Lots going on. I want to say hi to Mark P, who's watching me in Denver, Colorado, saying that the Denver housing market is booming right now, with a lot of people from California moving in. Lemon water tastes so good. And I want to thank, what's his name? Oh, God, I told him, yeah, I was going to mention him in the show. Peter, yeah, I want to thank Peter for watching too, down in Vancouver. And Owen from Brampton just signed on. Everybody's signing on too. I want to thank everyone for joining. It is Q1 numbers, people! Q1 numbers are trickling in from all sorts of sources. Everybody's very careful on how they master what they say going forward, because this is going to make or break the season of the housing market this spring/summer. Is there going to be a housing... year for all to remember with a crash, or is it going to be the same old boring prices going up and people bought out of the market and no one has any disposable income? So everybody's commenting here. Someone's asking if I read. Yes, the article you sent me is in here somewhere. I found another version of it because that one won't open up for me, because sometimes I cannot open certain articles depending on what region of the world it's from. It redirects me to somewhere else because it doesn't want me to read. We'll leave Google open here in case we got to look something up. And this is the video I put up today earlier to let people know that trends in the housing market will be on tonight at 7 p.m. Tijuana time. And I got a lot of people send me links to shows. There's Owen's right there. With his YouTube link. This link here, for some reason, this is some of these links, like this one here, I'll show you guys. I click it, and it does not let me open the link. So, Owen, you're going to have to resend that some other way. It looks like it's from the Toronto Star, so. Oh, pre-built homes. Yes, yeah, I have it right here, buddy. Don't worry, Owen, it's right here. I have it in here. I have that. I think it's this one here. It's in here, the pre-built homes one. There it is. Pre-built homes, and the market's peak, and now they're financial ruin. Anyway, so I want to thank everyone for joining me. I got people commenting left and right. Comments are open. Guys, try and leave me messages or comments before the show starts, because it's really hard for me to do it during the show, because it's a one-man show. It's just me. No one else cares about housing. So lines are open. So let's move on. Old white guy. I gotta do an old white guy plug. Old white guy's a really good guy. He just passed 1,000 subs. He talks about politics in a very different look. A look that a lot of people dare not to look at, or a lot of people dare to speak. And I really recommend to check out his page. 1,000 subs. Easy. He's going to get up to 20,000 subs. Easy. And really good guy. He's got one here. Canadian government censors YouTuber with 150 subscribers. Liberals want to reduce sentence on child marriage. There's lots going on the old white man's channel, old white guy. Check him out. Let's move on. Okay, so Q1 numbers are in, or are coming in, are trickling in. We're starting to see the articles, the tug of wars. You're going to start to see the one side of the picture where, hey, it's all good. Calm down. Don't panic. And then you're going to see the other articles where, what the hell is going on here? What are you people doing? So you're going to see a back and forth tug of war with articles. You're going to have the real estate agents, and you're going to have the banks and everything to calm investors. And then you're going to have the other side of the media, which is exposing and discussing what is going on. So let's start here with Vancouver. It's a very interesting Vancouver real estate prices still climbing, but tax changes could have an impact, report says. So prices in Vancouver are still going up, apparently, from other articles and other charts I've been seeing. The prices... Yeah, blame game. That's right. Yeah, Owen's commenting there. It's going to be the summer blame game. Whose fault is it anyway? Oh my god. Mike, is your cowboy hat on backwards? Holy smokes, it is. Sorry, guys. It was on backwards. There you go. It looks better now. I look cuter. Thank you. See, I got people watching my back all the time. I got people watching my back all the time. Yeah, there you go. It feels better now. Thank you, Eddie Franco, for helping me out there. Vancougers. That's what someone's commenting there in the thing. Okay, so what's going on here? Let's check out this article here. In Victoria. Victoria has been going up big time in the last year and a half. Ever since that new tax went in Vancouver, everybody took off. Okay. Victoria, Greater Vancouver, real estate prices continue to climb out of reach of most ordinary families. So what's an ordinary? Am I an ordinary family? Are you an ordinary family? What do you mean, ordinary families? What is that supposed to mean? I understand that you speak English, but do you understand English? But the province's new measure to tackle housing affordability may have an impact on the market, according to the new report by credit rating agencies DBRS. And I have that article open somewhere up here. I'll get to it soon. Fourth quarter Canadians' housing indicators reports released on Monday said the average resale price in what it deemed the Greater Vancouver GVA, Greater Vancouver area, was up 6% from last year and largely recovered from its almost 18% fall after BC government introduced the foreign buyers tax in 2016. So when people are asking, Mike, this foreign buyers tax, you know, what's going on? It's supposed to work. It's supposed to bring down prices, make a correction in the market. I said this maybe 5 months ago, and I'll say it again. Someone commented on a video from 5 months ago they were watching from Trends in the Housing Market. And it's like this. If I have to pay somebody, let's say I come in with a bunch of money and I want to layer my money. I want to launder my money. If I have to pay the mob, it would cost me like 30%, 40% to launder my money, and they got to layer it through companies. But if I put it through real estate and I have to pay a 15% tax, it's safe. It's safer than dealing with the mafia. And it's also, you have real estate. So paying 15-20% tax is safer than having to layer your money. Because remember back 20-30 years ago when there was a nail salon on every corner, they were just using it as a front. But now, a lot of people got smart. They just started dumping their money in their real estate because of our lax rules here in the West, right? So that's my answer to that. That's what my opinion is, what I think, why. I'd rather buy a house than deal with the mob. So it's just easier, you know what I'm saying? Okay. So we need an emergency bug-out plan. Yeah, move to the country. I collect my rainwater. I have, emergency food storage place. I could go hunting up the hill there. So fishing, 10-minute walk. I'm okay. If something happens, I bug out at home, right? Anyways, similarly, sales volume in the GVA has been recovering, but still below levels seen before the introduction of the foreign buyers tax. Read the report. Geographical expansion of the levy. The increase in the tax rate as additional speculation tax introduced in 2018 could have further implications on market stabilization going forward. I don't think any of this is going to help market stabilization. I think China itself putting capital outflows, tapping out or closing out any capital outflows leaving China. China had a huge, enormous amount of wealth in 2014, 2015, and 2016 leave their shores. I would too. I would take my money out of my country if my prime minister turned into an emperor of China, or he's become an emperor now. So he's going to be in power for a long time. So, anyways. Oh, wow. We got a lot of people watching now. And, Non-stop, non-stop. Comments are flowing. Okay, we're in Q1 now, people. Remember Q1? So, Vancouver real estate prices are still climbing. And like I said, it's a lot easier to deal with real estate than it is to layer your money and other ways to defraud your money, and you get what I'm saying. This is just safer, and pay the 20-15% up front. At least you know you have a tax write-off, and at least you know what I'm saying. You have property, at least you have something, right? So Steve the Plumber is very excited about Q1, people. And as articles start flowing in, we're going to start to see this tug of war between who is there for the people and who is there for the investments. The average BC real estate property was $748,000 in 2017 in Metro Vancouver. It was $1.09 million in the first quarter of 2018, according to BC Real Estate Association. So the price of real estate in Vancouver is trickling upwards regardless, but the mass exodus of Caucasian and First Nations people leaving Vancouver is phenomenal to move into the mainland, to move into the interior of British Columbia. Let's move on. So this was sent to me like 20 times today. I received, I'll tell you guys right now, 146 emails today, and 37 messages on Facebook, 11 messages on Instagram today. And 20 of the messages were this one. So I will be reading this one for you guys right now. And Walking Journey just tuned in. Don't forget to join them live after I tune out later tonight. Walking Journey should be able to go live after I'm done. And then Owen said I sent 2. Yes, I do. I got 2 of them. But anyways, let's start with this one. Let me take a sip of water here before I have a heart attack. Oh, man, that feels good. They bought their pre-built homes at the market's peak. Now they face financial ruin. So people bought at the peak, pre-builts. A group of buyers in an Oakville subdivision say they have been trapped in a unique period in the Toronto area housing market that has left them in an impossible situation. So Oakville, Ontario is about 30 minutes from downtown Toronto on the 401 QEW 427 South. You exit Trafalgar or you exit Spears Road. What's it called? Winston Churchill Boulevard, and that is Oakville region there off the 401. A group of Oakville homebuyers struggling to finance pre-construction houses they bought in February 2017 at the height of last year's real estate frenzy are blaming reckless provincial housing policy and new mortgage rules for putting them on the brink of financial ruin. The desperate buyers say they have been trapped in a unique period in the Toronto area housing market. You like how they create words to, like, soften the situation? Just say the buyers have been screwed because of the changes. But they like to make it a unique period. One engineered by provincial policy designed to cool the soaring costs of housing. The problem has been compounded by new mortgage rules that they believe have the potential to drive desperate buyers deeper into debt by sending them to alternative lenders that offer higher interest loans. Declining real estate sales in the Toronto region have meant the buyers have not been able to sell their existing homes for the amounts they anticipated when they contracted to buy the new house of Mattamy Preserve development near Dundas Street West and 4th Line. After they failed to swell when the market plunged, or they took lower than expected prices, they say they could get larger loans to cover the difference. Absolutely. Who wants to pay for something worth less than what they bought it for? Nobody wants to. This impacts your health financially. It breaks families, said Zahir Bashir-Dudin. He says his wife bought a new house with a single-car garage so they could have fewer stairs to contend while caring for their infant and toddler. The buyers want the government, the banks, the builders to come together to find a solution for this buyer's impossible position. They say they have no response to emails to primary Kathleen Wayne Ontario Progressive Consecutive Leader Doug Ford on Housing Minister Peter Milkins. I can't read that. The buyers maintained the Ontario Liberal government failed to consider what the impact its fair housing plan would be in the middle-class families in mid-transaction. When it launched its plan, including foreign buyers tax last April, housing sales plummeted almost immediately. The double whammy of the provincial plan and new mortgages stress tests from Canada's bank regulator requiring buyers to qualify for higher lending rates than they had originally been approved last February has significantly reduced their borrowing power. Well, it's like when it was in Florida. When I was in Florida in 2007, I started seeing people going to court. A lot of people going to court with builders and stuff because they bought pre-built units down in Fort Lauderdale and West Palm Beach, and they were worth less than what they bought them for, and it was an absolute disaster. It was an absolute disaster. Mattamy President Brad Carr said to sympathize with purchasers caught in this very specific point in the housing market cycle, but he said the company, Canada's largest home builder, needs buyers to honor their contracts so Mattamy could do the same. When a home buyer makes a firm binding decision to Mattamy to us build them a home, we in turn take that promise, that commitment, and we make a whole series of promises to our trades, to our suppliers, to our employees, and what we can do is strengthen those firm contracts to employ them, he said. Let's go to this one right here. 3 couples who spoke to the Star say they desperately want to fulfill their contracts with the builder. All of them have owned their own, owned or own a home. All have young children. They describe themselves as working middle-class people who saved and sacrificed for years to afford their homes. The houses they purchased cost between $1 million to $1.6 million. Around the average price of a detached single-family home in the Toronto region. Wow. If they walk from their contracts, Mattamy will forfeit their deposits of more than $200,000. They also risk being sued by the builder. This is refusing to provide financial assistance or extend the closings. Oh my God. A lot of people are in this predicament right now. And a lot of people. So, a lot of people are in this predicament where there's some pre-builts that haven't broken ground yet. They haven't broken ground in the Greater Toronto area, in Mississauga, in Cambridge, Ontario. Where else do they have breaking ground right now? Cambridge, Ontario, springtime. Cambridge, and what's the other one? Kitchener, Waterloo, breaking ground this spring. And prices are going down when they bought a contract at the wrong time. If they find a way to close the gap in their finances through alternative lenders, they say they won't be able to meet their monthly bills. So when you go to loan to value to the bank will only lend you what the loan to value is worth on the property. So if the property is worth $300,000 and you need $400,000 because that's what your contract said, the bank will say, well, I can't give you $400,000 for a house that's worth $300,000 in the market. So this is what is happening, people. The individuals who signed up for these houses did so with full understanding of where we were in the full housing cycle, in the same way anyone else would, he said, adding that there was extensive media coverage of the heated housing market around the time buyers purchased. So they bought when the market was going good, the market was on fire, they bought. And the problem is people need to understand, they need to come to terms that, okay, so if the house goes up in value, it's okay. But if it goes down, they don't want to pay. You know, it's got to be fair, because when someone loses, someone's gaining, right? That's just how it works. Like the markets work like this. I lost $1,000. Actually, I lost $1,000 today in the stock market. I checked. My portfolio is down today. It was down $1,000 today. $1,400 today. One day. That means someone made $1,400 somewhere else in the markets. You see what I'm saying? I understand, because housing has become a commodity now. It's no longer an investment, a long-term investment. People bought houses under the terms of making like a stock market. You know, they're not buying They're not buying it for a lot. Some people, yeah, are buying for long term. Yeah, I get it, but this case here. It's a little bit different. You also have to remember we're talking about price points of the type of housing that were right at the top of the band. He said, the average price of a new construction detached house in Toronto region was $1.22 million in February this year. A year earlier, the average was $1.5 million, according to building industry statistics. Then they go on to say, I certainly empathize, but I also have to assume we're talking about sophisticated individuals here who made very large deposits, signed binding contracts, and do so at a price points that would suggest to me that they had means to close. But while some of the houses in the preserve sold for more than $2 million, 2 of the 3 couples who spoke to the Star say they paid about $1 million for their homes. A third couple, they wanted a different floor plan for 2-year-old son, so they bought their another house for $1.6 million, expecting their current place to sell for about the same amount. They listed their house twice last year, but received no formal offers, just a phone call with a lowball proposal. So it's happening, people. The patterns are coming through. Yeah, so Steve the Plumber's commenting, so many people that closed and will close on those new pre-construction properties are now negative equity position. That means they're underwater, people. They owe more for the house than what it's worth. And when the bank, and you go into the bank and they look at the loan, the LTV is a loan to value. When they see that, hey, I'm not giving you 400 large for a house that's worth 300 large. I mean, God forbid prices are what I'm quoting here. They're millions of dollars. Millions! Okay, let's keep it. There's a long article, guys. So, oh, right here. The sale of their Brampton house closed in January for about $200,000 less than they had expected when they bought the Mattamy home last February. So this is a long article, guys. I'm going to leave it with you guys. I'm going to leave you this. It's called, they bought their pre-built homes at the market's peak. Now they face financial ruin. But this is also not only in Oakville, Ontario. This is, like I said, this is happening in Kitchener, Cambridge. It's happening in Georgetown, Ontario. It's happening in Brampton, Ontario, where there's pre-builts going up in Brampton like crazy this spring. So, Toronto real estate prices get first annual broad market decline since 2009. Look at that, people. Greater Toronto real estate got its first annual price decline since 2009. Toronto Real Estate Board, TREB. Numbers show that sales continue to slide and inventory continue to climb. This usually happens when those two numbers, when those two lines intersect on the graph. That's when the poop hits the fan. That's when prices decline, and when sales go up, the prices start declining. That's when that intersection. I don't know if you took real estate business to understand markets. They teach you those two lines intersecting. So someone's commenting here. This is big news. Yes, Mike. Mike's the guy. Must remain holstered while the show is going on. His wife will get mad if the show gets flagged. Ha ha ha. And let's keep going here. Benchmark prices see first annual decline since 2009. Toronto real estate prices continue to see growth taper. I like growth taper. And even turn negative in some segments. The provincial typical home is now $760,000 across all TREB regions, 1.50 decline compared to last year. The city of Toronto saw the benchmark drop $817,000, a 4.78% increase compared to the last year. Prices remain positive in the city of Toronto due entirely to exuberant condo price escalation. So what's inflating these numbers is condos and townhomes for some reason. When the rest of the market, the detached market starts declining, you start seeing a lot of people jumping on the condos and townhomes because they're cheaper product. And that's what keeps the rest of the numbers up. It should be noted that Greater Toronto prices are up compared to last month, the benchmark increasing almost $9,100. Good news if you bought last month, but things are not so cheery if you bought a year ago. So here's the point right here. This is 11th consecutive month of annual price change has dropped, turning negative from massive 31.26% peak it made a year ago, the 1.5% decline in the first decline observed to the benchmark since 2009. Remember, the benchmark prices tend to smooth the trend. Fast-moving markets should take other measures into consideration. So here it is. Last 12 months, here's the change. So here it is from 2006. Boom, 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 boom. There's 2016, 2015, 2016. And then, boom, they applied the foreign buyer's tax and a couple other taxes, and then kaboom. There it goes down there. Like, that's a roller coaster and a half, guys. That's a roller coaster and a half. And you guys remember in 2008 when things went slightly underwater? Here it is here, 5.3% aggregate. And right here. So the aggregation against, for and against, is in the negative territory right now, according to this. Is 1.5% negative aggregation against increases for the last 2 years. One of the most popular measures in the median price of favored mainland Chinese buyers. The median sale price across three regions is $651,000, 14.9% decline from last year. The city of Toronto has a median of $680,000, 3.12% increase from last year. Medians show larger drop in Greater Toronto and more constructive increase in the city. Toronto average sale prices decline over 14%. The much more volatile average sale price showed declines. The average sale price across tree reached $784,000, 14.26 decline from last year. The city of Toronto saw an average of $817,000 and 9.09% decline from last year. Remember, the average prices aren't great from determining how much you'll pay for a home. They're great for determining the flow of upgrades. There it goes here, people. There it is here. There it is in percentage. So against the aggregate, if you bought last year, you're screwed. If you bought last month, you should be okay. But I think prices will even see a greater decline in Toronto. Greater Toronto real estate sales declined almost 40 points. Toronto real estate sales continue to slide. TREB reported 7,228 sales across all regions, 39.53% decline compared to last year. Breaking that number down, the city of Toronto saw 2,797 of those sales, 33.78% decline compared to last year. The 905, which is the Greater Toronto area, saw 4,431 sales, 42.67% decline compared to last year. Declining sales don't mean a lot of number by itself, so hold judgment until you see how it compares to inventory. So here you go. Sales to new listings. So sales are obviously down. New listings are up. So for March 2018, sales, new listings are up 14,886. And sales are only 7,228. So, lots of graphs here. Greater Toronto inventory soars over 103%. Here it is here. So, inventory is going up. What does that mean? There's more to buy. It's a buyer's market. Are people buying right now, or are they going to sit back and wait a couple of weeks? So, someone's asking, how is Toronto going up in Vancouver? How is Toronto going down and Vancouver going up? How much higher Vancouver? Oh my God. A teardown is 1.5 million bucks. It's uncomparable. Vancouver is a playground for the rich. Not famous, just rich. Okay, so new listings are up right now in Toronto. Reported 14,886 new listings in March, 12.43% decline compared to last year. City of Toronto saw 4,438 of those new listings, 22.34% decline. The 905 saw other 10,428 new listings. The sale of new listings to ratio at 49%, CRA calls a balanced market. So these are the active listings here. Does this look like a balanced market to you guys? That is the question. That's how many new listings and that's how many sales. It's almost, it's pushing halfway. Yeah, it's about halfway. So 50%, 15%, but the thing is, are they selling at what people are asking for? That is the question. Confused about the numbers? Well, they're confusing this month. Prices are down across Trebe compared to last year, but up from last month. Okay, but if you bought last year, you're screwed. But trying to jump in conclusion, it's worth remembering how benchmark prices work. So they're a moving average. Sales bought with mortgages approved before the B20 guidelines are being averaged with sales made afterwards. The full impact or lack, therefore, won't be known until at least the end of May. Changes related mortgages issued with foreign income won't be known until August. Looking for a clear market direction, you won't get it until then. So guys, we're getting in numbers. Q1 numbers are starting to trickle in. Formafist Network, I want to do a quick plug for him. Please, guys, don't forget to check him out. Who cares about real estate? Who are you people? Canada becoming a rental economy, priced out of real estate, deep sadness. Oh, here I am. I chat with Mike Martins about real estate and other things. So guys, if you want to check out Formafist Network, please check him out. He's really good at what he talks about. He actually looks into numbers and graphs way better than I do. Understands and likes to draw out things to show people. Very understandable way. Very understandable, you know what I'm saying? And Toronto home prices see biggest drop in almost 30 years. March sales down 40% from a year ago, the lowest since 2009. So here we go here. Lots of real estate agents selling their selling properties for their customers. The average selling prices of houses fell 14% from the year earlier, $784,000. The biggest drop since 1991. So this article is from a few hours ago. The high end of Toronto's housing market is bearing the brunt of declines from last year's dizzying growth, with prices falling and unit sales slumping by almost half. Sales of detached homes in and around Canada's biggest city fell 46% in March. From the same month ago, the average price fell 17%. So basically, it's the other article I just read. This one is from the Financial Post. So here it is here. This graph tells you everything you need to know right there. There's the inclines. There it is, April 2017. Average was 920,000. And March 2018, Q1 numbers, 784,000. So you're seeing a huge decline of how much? 14%. That's a lot when you're dealing with $1 million. 14% hurts your wallet big time. Man, even 5% of $1 million is a lot of a loss. Let's move on. Lost Canuck, two-time world champ. Guys, when you guys go to his channel, it looks blank. Don't worry. Don't panic. Click on videos. And there he is right there. Canadian debt. Mortgages and pension funds. So Lost Canuck's got a lot going on. He's got 431 subscribers. Let's get him to 500 this week, people. He's really good at what he talks about. Again, Toronto's getting hit left and right with articles. I've received hundreds and hundreds. Oh, Steve, I need to know, are you going to go to that show on the 7th? I need to know if you're going to the real estate show on the 7th. Let me open her up here for you guys so you guys could see. Toronto real estate show. Toronto real estate show. Toronto. Oh, there's another good article here. Toronto home prices rise for a third straight month, showing signs of yeah, right. We'll see what happens, guys. It's all over the place. 40% Toronto. Where's this Toronto real estate show? Come on, where is this? Yeah. Yeah! Toronto, the North American largest real estate wealth expo, Toronto, Saturday, April 7th. Speakers. Who's going to be there? Top $1 million agent. I don't know who this is. Mike Donia. I don't know who that is. Manjit. I don't know who that is. Alex Rodriguez, Shark Tank. I know of him. Sylvester Stallone. I know him. I met him once in Florida. Pitbull. I met him on Calle Ocho in Miami before he even became famous. Damon's John. Don't know him. Hillary Farr. Love it or list it. Okay, so you got some. So, knockout strategies for business and life. Pitbull's going to be there. So, who is going? Steve, are you going to go to this thing or what? The Big Sham Show. Everyone's saying, yes, he's going. Okay, he is going. He has confirmed in the comments that he is going to be going to this show. This is going to be so good. I wish I was in the Toronto area to go to this thing. But I have a wife and kids. And a small business that I run. So, 900 speakers. Wow, 900 speakers. 1 million expo attendance. And 3,270 workshops. Look at that, people. Okay, what do we got going on here? So I'll keep that up there so we can look at that every couple of hours, you know. Lost Canucks here. So, Toronto luxury homes plunged 46% from last year. Again, so guys living in the States, when they say luxury homes, it's just an average house. It's, you'll look at it and say, what is this? Okay, in the United States, a luxury home is different. It's about $1 million and a half dollars. It has a huge swimming pool. It has a helicopter pad. It has a couple of tennis courts. It has huge gates around the house. Like, that's $1.5 million, and then lots of land. That is a luxury home in the United States. So when people say luxury home, and you look at it, it's just an average house, like a 4-bedroom, 3-bedroom house. But I don't know. They need to start like organizing what these words mean to not confuse people. Because when someone hears luxury home in Toronto sold, and then you look at it and it's like, yeah, okay, that's probably worth 300 grand. Like, just because it's worth $2 million, it doesn't mean the house is. Someone's saying, I'm wearing headphones. I thought that banging was someone knocking at my door. No, it's just my kids. There's Mr. Potato just signed in. Someone's saying, Mike, get the booger. My nose is clean. Anyways, okay, let's go here. Sales of detached homes in and around Canada's biggest city fell 46%. Yeah, we already went through this. Let's keep going. You're starting to witness a slowdown declines expected in Wednesday's Vancouver real estate figures. Hallelujah. From April 4th to it's yesterday's article. So when they say average homes, this is the average home they're talking about, guys. When they're saying luxury homes, it's these homes. Like you see here? Those are considered luxury homes. People hoping for Vancouver's housing bubble to burst could find reasons to be optimistic. Monthly real estate figures for the Lower Mainland will be released for every municipality with predictions of significant drops in total sales compared to a year ago. When we look across most markets to BC over the first quarter of this year, sales are down, said Cameron Muir, chief economist of British Columbia Real Estate Association. Real estate agent and industry blogger Steve Saretsky says the drop is largely due to new mortgage stress test rules, but a cumulative effect of interest rate hikes and new housing taxes by the government also playing a role. I think it has to do with the capital flows leaving China. They're basically shutting everyone down that leaves China with more than $100. They question you at the airport now. People aren't leaving China anymore with those hockey bags full of money like they used to. Prices can't rise by 30% on an annual basis forever. The greatest price gains behind us, and you're starting to witness a slowdown, he said, which is very true. All these new policies coming into effect, I don't think are bullish for real estate in the short term. Murray and Soretsky say that industry data shows that the median prices for detached homes in Vancouver and surrounding municipalities are dropping slightly. But the relief won't extend to the condo market, where the benchmark price of an average unit has increased by 31.1% over the last year to $641,000. I still expect prices to rise in most product types, and that's largely the result of lack of supply. We're still sitting 10-year. But what about the 30, 40, 50,000 empty units? Aren't they tracking that down in BC? The amount of empty units they have? Yeah, so someone's commenting luxury. SHI, house, but freaking expensive. Mr. Potato says, I'm your daily dose of inspiration. You got it, bud. And someone is saying, kid can't even read. Billy Madison. And, oh no, I can't read. And, yeah, they're going with them. Hockey bags of money to the USA now. USA! 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 Yeah, baby. Because you know what? They tried putting in the foreign buyers tax right now in Seattle. They tried doing it twice already. They tried doing it in Portland, Oregon. And they've been trying doing it in California for the last year and a half. And it's against the Constitution. They cannot do that. So when the hockey bags of money start rolling into USA, USA, I don't know what's going to happen, because you got this mass exodus. California, Oregon, Seattle, Vancouver, all the way up just north of Vancouver a bit. Everyone's moving into the interior. Anyone that wants to get out, everyone's running into the interior right now. Running. So you're seeing Nevada, home sales spiking. Montana. You're seeing Denver. I got a buddy watching me right now in Denver, Colorado. And Denver, Colorado. Oh, so Duster McDouble says, CNN News here. This is fake news. One, I'm not news. I'm just reading what's happening in the housing market. Two, I can't read. And three, I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about half the time. So you don't need to watch this channel. This is fake. Don't worry. See here? I'm not even standing here. This is an illusion. We have a Homeland Security. They check Chinese dirty money, and that's why they can't buy a lot in here. You'll be surprised. They got pretty smart, some of them people getting that money in. Okay, let's keep going here. There's an article here. Let's look at this here. Chinese real estate portal says investment in Vancouver flat as a pancake. But UBC expert says the price correction not likely to come anytime soon. Oof. Real estate sales to Chinese buyers in Vancouver are in the midst of no growth pattern, according to the data gathered by China's largest real estate portal, Zhaoi.com. Chinese buyers' demand in Vancouver is flat as a pancake, neither up nor down. Oh, someone's commenting here on my YouTube channel here. Vice President Zhaoi.com in BC. The most common searches in Zhaoi, in addition to Vancouver, were Toronto, Seattle, Montreal, Los Angeles inquiries from buyers in China. For all international properties are up 8.7% over last year. Buyers compare prices elsewhere. Let's see what's going on here in the comment section real quick. See, Buddy said something here. My Jason here. Listen to everyone, read everything, but don't believe anything until you can prove it with your own thoughts and research. All right, let's keep going here, people. So, buyer compares prices elsewhere. Who was it in China? In one of the China minister says that Vancouver's overpriced a couple of weeks ago in an article. When these uncommitted buyers compare Vancouver prices plus the tax to what they can get somewhere else, USA, USA, sometimes they decide it's not worth it, Burley said. Oh, dude, right now you can still pick up a 7-bedroom, 5-bath, 45 minutes outside of Houston for around 200 grand. You could still pick one of those up for that much, 235. So once the U.S. starts getting bought out, I think that's when the huge correction starts to happen. Once it happens to the U.S., I think they're going to start. It's going to be huge change, because when somebody gets pushed so far, they can only take so much until they start pushing back. So, in August 2016, the province introduced a 50% tax. We know this already. The power of Vancouver tax lies in the fact that 50% of our Chinese buyers begin property hunting without having made up their mind which city they want to purchase, said Burley. Foreign buyers overlooking Vancouver. Last week, the chief economist Matthew Garner, Waldmer's Real Estate in Seattle, said foreign buyers are overlooking Vancouver and heading to Seattle in a frantic pace. I've been telling you guys, I've been telling you about Seattle for the last year. The second they put on that foreign buyers tax in Vancouver, everybody went south to Seattle and east to Toronto. The ones that went to Seattle made the best choice, because Seattle's housing government, or whatever you want to call them, have been working so hard to try and put a foreign buyers tax in, and they said, nope, Constitution, you can't do that. So America is going to be bought state by state. It's going to be bought up. It's the whole West Coast right now. Everybody's going. No one's coming north because it's too expensive. You come to Canada, it's too expensive, right? So foreign buyers, so let's open that one up. A lot of people who are looking in Vancouver are automatically looking further south now to Seattle, said Gardner. There's no question. There's a knock-on effect given your tax situation relative to foreign buyers. Frantic is the best way to put it. Frantic. After years of dire warnings about impending real estate bubble bursts, do the leveling off mean single-family home prices will cool down? I think the correction will take the form of a slower market for a number of years and very flat prices. Czar Somerville, a professor of UBC's Sauder School of Business. It's really hard to see the trigger for large price corrections in that market. Affordability problems. Bigger concern lies in the surging sales prices for condos and townhomes, what is described as a split personality market. Having condo prices rise 40% in the 1 year isn't salvation. That creates lots of affordability problems. 40% in 1 year, I mean, that's huge. Seattle's been seeing gains of 20 grand a month. If you watched last week's trends in the housing market, 20 grand a month. They've been seeing increases. We were relying on the condos, townhouses to be a source of affordability. If those are going through the roof, that's taking affordable option away. Jowies Burley said Vancouverites should expect the leveling off demand from China to have major consequences. It's very important to remember, however, that Vancouver is more like a pancake than a deflating shuffle, he said. Buyer demands has not collapsed, it's merely flat. Trade wars lead to real estate wars. Somebody's commenting there. And then there's 1488 is commenting. It really is just sit back, load up our guns. And yeah, let's keep going here. Foreign buyers overlooking. Let's go to the next article that linked to foreign buyers overlooking Vancouver and hitting to Seattle in a frantic pace. So I don't know if you guys remember, I've been talking about, they've been making brochures in Mandarin to investors, to give to investors for Seattle, Portland, Oregon, San Francisco, San Jose, LA County, Beverly Hills, San Diego. They've been making basically magazines in foreign languages to get investors in the door. Seattle hasn't historically been known as a hotbed for foreign investment, but real estate experts say that the home sales... Oh, someone's calling in. I hope it's not a crank call. Hello, you're live.
Hi, this is Mike.
Yeah, speaking.
Hi, this is Sherry in West Kelowna. I've been following you since last fall, so yeah, I get to call you finally.
Yes. Or where'd you say you were in Kelowna?
West Kelowna.
Well, okay, yeah, because I see the area code. It's a local area code, so thought it was somebody from Merritt or somebody from Kamloops. So, welcome. So, what do you got to share with us?
Well, first of all, I have a cold, so sorry I sound a little hoarse.
That's okay.
I don't have anything to share. I've been following you because I've been desperately trying to get out of mobile home into freehold land, and I'm a single lady, so that's not easy in Kelowna.
Did you see the article I read about Kelowna last week?
I did, but I see so many videos, I can't remember. You'll have to refresh.
It was the one where the Kelowna families are being torn apart by the high cost of living in Kelowna?
Yeah.
Yeah, because what's happened is you've seen an influx of people like myself coming to these cities. And I lived in Vancouver. I did very well in Vancouver. And I'm not paying $2 million for a house that's worth $300,000, right?
Exactly.
So I moved to Merritt, right? So it's not just me. My entire block here, my cul-de-sac, of 11 houses, 8 of them are from Vancouver.
You know, and if I could find a job in Merritt, I'd be living on your street with you because I could so afford it. It makes me cry.
Yeah, there is employment. There is employment here. I think they're hiring engineers at the mills, and I think there's a couple other openings in different sectors. I'm not sure what but there is employment. So
I'll take a look at it. I'm just in healthcare, so typically with what I'm in, I have to be in larger centers, but we'll see how it goes. Anyways, that's what I was kind of hoping with all the stress tests and everything that might soften prices here, but there just seems to be so many people still coming to Kelowna, so I'm a little afraid prices are staying. I'm very lucky that I own my mobile free and clear, so I could probably have $150,000 down, and with my my wage, I could probably borrow up to $260,000. So I'm looking up to $400,000 for probably will get me an entry level, worst neighborhood duplex.
Oh no, I bought my house for $260,000 last year.
Yeah, I know, and I've got maybe $400,000 to buy, and it's kind of sad. So I'm kind of hoping maybe prices will soften a little bit, so I'm not paying my maximum to get a piece of SHIT housing. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. But the problem is, if remember the last article I just read to you, if housing does not balance in Vancouver or it just keeps going up, the interior is going to get beat up really hard. If Canadians had like a dual citizenship with the United States type of thing where we could just go back and forth, you would see a mass exodus of Canadians leaving to the States.
Yeah.
But they can't. So what happens? They go east into the interior to cities like yours, Kelowna and Kamloops. Kamloops is out of control.
I haven't been following that area.
Kamloops is absolutely out of control. There are so many people moving in from Vancouver. Did you? Okay, I read an article last week from Douglas Todd from the Toronto. I think it was the Toronto Star or the Vancouver Sun, where he discusses how over 16,000 white people, Caucasian people, have left Vancouver.
Yeah, I saw that people are, and First Nations as well, I believe, right?
Yeah. And First Nations, 4,000 First Nations, 400 First Nations people, and 13,000 Caucasian people.
Yep.
Have left the city of Vancouver to softer lands or easier, But you get somebody in Vancouver that does own a property and sells it, they're living large in these other towns, right?
They sure are, yeah.
And then you're a professional, you want to settle down and lay some roots, makes it even harder. I'm almost priced out of freehold land, but not quite. I'm just in a mobile home now, and I'm paying $500 a month rent for nothing, just to have my mobile sit on it. So I kind of want to get away from the condo fees and actually own freehold. Oh, condo fees are all mafia, you know that.
Yeah, it's just too much. People are making a living off of your hard work. So I'm doing a little bit of renovations. I'll probably be done by end of July. So that's what I was trying to think, is if I should wait a little bit and try to see if the market changes. But I see like the entry-level housing where I can afford, like the $400,000 and under, sells fast. And I'm a little bit worried it will just always stay that way. Too many people coming into the market buying those entry-level homes, or I should just, wait another year and see what happens.
It's interprovincial migration. I'm going to coin that term.
Yeah.
Interprovincial migration. You like how I make up words? Basically, it's the movement. It works in cycles. I have a lot of people, if you go to Vancouver on a weekend, it's dead.
Yeah.
If you go during the week, during work hours, the highways are plugged up because everyone's driving from Maple Ridge and all those cities to go down to work. And you go down Robson Street, it's packed with office workers. But after 5 o'clock, it's dead.
No one lives down there.
Yep. Granville Street is completely boarded, like 80% boarded up.
Oh, yes, so sad.
But everyone's leaving. So I left. I made my decision. I said, you know what? I want to own, a freehold property, and I want to own my property free and clear. And
yeah, exactly.
And you know what? I mean, if I have to pay property tax, and what else do you pay? Property tax and my garbage that I pay every 6 months.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's leaving me a lot of disposable income, right? And you want to free up some income and get on some freehold land, so you don't have to pay $500 for nothing.
For nothing. Yeah, I get nothing for it. And it's it's affordable living for the moment, but, and letting me, pay off my debts. My student loans are almost gone. My car's now paid off.
Good for you.
It served its purpose. But, it goes up. Rent goes up about $40, $50 every year, and it goes up more than, I work at the hospital, and I have a good benefits, right? I get increases, but cost of living is always more than my my 1.2% cost of living increase on my wage every year. And I'm in a good industry. So it just makes no sense to stay in a house where it costs you more to sit there.
Yes.
Than to be in freehold. So yeah, I'm just kind of hoping to be able to move out. But I don't see it prices changing, and that's what I'm kind of hoping will change with all these rules. But I think you might be right. There might be, too much interprovincial migration.
Mm-hmm.
I just have to jump in while I can.
Interprovincial migration. A lot of the Vancouver proper, born and raised Vancouver proper, are moving into the interior because they can't afford their own city they were born in.
Yeah, exactly.
So, do you remember that nurse? I told you that story about that nurse maybe a month and a half ago. I told I filmed it in my store. She came to visit me, and she moved to.
I didn't hear the story.
Well, what happened was a lady came to my store and started talking to me, and she's a nurse and from Vancouver, and she was going up to Kamloops to say goodbye to family. And I'm like, "Oh, you're moving to what are you doing?" It's like, "Oh, I watch your show for the last 2 years, and I'm moving to. You keep mentioning Florida in your thing." And yeah. She got a nursing position in Ocala, Florida, which is northwest Florida. And it's only an hour away from Georgia State. So it's still warm all year round, right?
Yeah.
So she picked up so she's looking at a place, and she's making about the same she's making, but in US dollars, you convert it, she makes a bit more. And because Florida is a work-free state, she doesn't get taxed as much like she does in Canada. So she's looking at a house for $198, $210, a 4-bedroom with a pool.
That makes me cry.
Yeah, and she's going to be because with the 40-hour work week they work there, they can't work more than 40 hours with some healthcare law. I don't know what it is in the state of Florida, but she's doing 4 hour. They're paying for her housing expenses for a year, and if she buys a place within that year, they'll prorate her back a refund of what they would have paid for her housing expenses.
Well, unfortunately, I'm not a nurse. Otherwise, I might be tempted to do that.
Yeah.
I'm a technologist, so I probably make about good $20,000-$30,000 less a year than they do, but I still have a decent wage.
Right. No. It's not. You see, I'd rather make less and live in a more affordable lifestyle than make more and then be behind.
Exactly.
But there's always positions like that opening up across the United States that need what you do, right? Mm-hmm. And they're always willing to bend over backwards if you're if you got good work.
Unfortunately, my career is just a 2-year tech degree, like a diploma, so I'm not in demand for me to immigrate to the United States.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
so there wouldn't be able for me, but.
Yeah. But there's a lot, like I said, the Canadian brain drain. Everyone's going down there. There's a lot of carpenters going down. A couple of engineers that I know went down. The newscaster, they used to work they used to live in those townhouses I used to live in years ago. He went down to the States and got a position doing something else. You know what I'm saying? So,
and you can come back here and retire nicely.
well,
Hopefully.
a lot of people. Well, if you're in the South, right, and
Yeah.
more people will want it. Like if you move to the States, if you move to South, like let's say Central Florida, I'd rather go visit you in Central Florida than you come up to Canada. It's just so much more fun down there. You know what I'm saying?
I bet.
Yeah. So, anyways, well, get your stuff to get your everything in sync. Hopefully, you could buy some land, and if you can't, Merritt's still pretty affordable right now.
I'll have to look at kind of what these littler towns have to offer. I'm in cardiology, so I'm a technologist doing the EKGs and treadmill testing and stuff like that. And so I have to be, for my career, in a job where there is cardiology department, right?
Okay.
To the bigger centers like Penticton, Vernon, Kelowna. But I don't know about your area. I know there's work in Kamloops, but it's one of those things, there's small departments. You have to wait for somebody to retire out before I can move. But nothing saying I can't retrain and do something else and move on out of here and not be stuck in Kelowna.
It's totally in your hands. Your future is whatever you make it, so make it a good one.
I sure hope so. Well, thank you so much. I enjoy your shows.
Thank you for calling.
Just sort of making me feel like might move this year rather than waiting here for prices to drop. Because I don't think it's going to happen. I think too many people are still coming into Kelowna. So thanks for the insight.
Yes, thank you so much for calling. Have a good night.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Bye. So I got a caller in from Kelowna. I read an article last week about, a few days ago actually, about Kelowna families getting ripped apart because of the cost of living, and homeless shelters are going overcrowding there. Lots of people like myself moving into these towns like I did. I moved into a smaller town, and it's not just me on my street. There's like, of the 11 homes in this little cul-de-sac here, 8 of us are from Vancouver, and then the other guy's from Kamloops, and then the other guy on that side just moved from it wasn't Vancouver, it was Maple Ridge, so everyone's most of the people are from the Lower Mainland. So that was a great caller. I like when I get good callers like that. So this was sent to me a million times. Canadians seek early intervention from bankruptcy spikes to a new January record. Someone commented on my video that I did this and said that I'm like a dog when Better Dwelling puts up an article jingling the keys, And CIBC says on 100K, a 3.7% high for now. On a 5-term, 25-year amortization, your monthly mortgage payment is $513. At 3.75, including fees, it's about $500 a month. And then if you have $200,000, you're looking at $1,000 a month. $300,000, you're looking at about $1,500 a month. So have to work in 6 hours from now. Good night, people. Good night, Owen. Owen needs to go to bed. He's going to go to work in a few hours. And so Dylan Lopez saying, so that lady can move to Merritt now. Yes, and she would have $150,000 in equity. She's looking for freehold land for her trailer too. So there is freehold land here for sale up on the hill. So, and down over by one of the mills there, and then up by the empty abandoned mansions, which I'm going to film a movie this summer there. Anyways, so this was sent to me. So this is proposals for people looking like they're going to file for bankruptcy. Is up. It says here 8.3%, 8.35% from the month before. So there's consumer proposals going up. Bankruptcies are going down. The people are starting to propose, or starting to look at their situation and starting to realize that it's not making sense right now. And they are having a hard time to make ends meet. Bankruptcies are almost down, like I said. But proposals are up. What does that mean, people? What do we have in store? USA Today, hot housing market, home buyers are spending more than expected. Home buyers are busting budgets and in some cases selling things they love to snag their dream houses. A third of home buyers blew the upper limit of when they plan to spend, topping that cap by the average of $16,510 according to an owners.com. Oh, it's a private caller. Hello, can I help you?
Hey, Mike, it's Steve.
Oh, Stevie, you never call private.
Sorry?
You never call private caller.
Oh, it's my work phone. It's automatically private.
Oh, okay. No problem. Because usually when it's a private caller, it's a crank call.
Yeah, or your stalker.
Yeah, my stalker. So how are things in your neck of the woods?
Mike, the cracks are forming, my friend. A lot of people are really starting to understand what's going on. It's all over the internet today. I find it. You actually covered it about a few moments ago. You were searching for the show that was taking place on the 7th, I believe.
Right here, Real Estate Wealth Expo, Toronto, Saturday, April 7th.
Yeah, so you actually, when you were searching that, you came across the only article on the internet that said anything but, house prices or sales were down 40% in Toronto, and then, naturally prices down 14%. The only one that actually reported that things were looking up was the Globe and Mail, and correct me if I'm wrong, they actually went ahead and said that Toronto seems to be rebounding.
Yes.
And
Yes. I saw that article where Toronto's rebounding and it looks like things are going to taper off or plateau.
It kills me how organized real estate, and now I put the Globe and Mail over the past, I've been tracking it over the past, I would say about 2 or 3 months, they've been pro-organized real estate.
Oh, 1,000,000%. It's like Fox News is pro-Trump and CNN is anti-Trump.
Yeah, or pro-porn star.
Yeah, but that's we're gonna have to actually have a talk about that in my rants and lifestyle discussion about that. It's really important. So, self-made millionaires teach you how to make money.
Yeah, I mean, just on that topic there, it's funny how organized real estate are, they're grasping, and they're saying that from March 2018 to the difference between March and February, house prices are up 0.5%. So things are changing. It's on the rebound. House prices are going to go up. Nobody needs to worry. Don't freak out. 5%, less than half a percent, I believe the number was 4 point something. But anyhow, chalk it up to 0.5%.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me so incredibly frustrated when organized real estate try to mislead people.
Well, they have to, right? It's because why would any news outlet be there if our government's not there for us? If everything we buy turns to poop, everything is always there's always some sort of acknowledgement when now you do something or buy something or get something serviced. Why would the media even care, to be with us? You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, well,
everything has strings attached is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm really happy to see other news media outlets picking up on it and starting to comment on things this way that people are going to become more and more educated on the situation. This is it, Mike. Between trade war and everything else that's going on, that's completely separate. However, it is all tied to real estate in one way or another. But we're going to see some crazy things happen as these Q1 numbers resolve.
Oh yeah, they're going to start trickling in. We're starting to see it in some articles. We're starting to see the fracturing. This article right here is a huge eye opener. Where is it? Let me find it here for you. They bought their pre-built homes and now market's peak. At the market's peak, now they face financial ruin.
Is that in Oakville that you read?
That's the Oakville one, yeah.
Yeah, so that's actually happening in Oakville. It's happening in Brampton. It's happening in
Cambridge
area with and Cambridge, Kitchener, Waterloo.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, you're starting to see people not being able to close A lot of first-time home buyers jumped in with both feet, whether they got money from, loved ones or family members or parents, or saved up. But one thing's for sure, if you look back, and the difference between the 416 and the 905 is roughly about 15%. So 14% price correction in the 416 in terms of Toronto, in terms of an average sale price. Now in the 905, it's upwards of 25, 30%, and in some areas it's as high as 40%.
Wow.
And those numbers are actually coming from boots on the ground.
Legitimate sources.
And believe it or not, they have no reason to tell me this, because they should actually be telling me the opposite, because they are real estate agents.
Yeah, exactly. But so now, with the fracturing happening in the greater Toronto area, do you see it going inwards to the city, or do you see city prices like Vancouver basically staying strong? I know the city prices have gone down in the detached market, but the cheaper market, as is townhomes and condos, keep going up.
Well, they're going up because that's all that people can afford.
That's right.
Quite frankly, what's going to happen is as the detached market comes down, people are going to all of a sudden wake up and say, "What the heck am I doing? I'm paying $600,000-$700,000 for a box in the sky. Meanwhile, for an extra $100,000, I can get a detached house for $200,000." And you're going to see a huge disproportion in price.
Yeah.
And people are going to stop. And then you're going to realize, all these people are going to realize that they're condos that they, fought and, literally went to task and outbid this guy and that guy to get. They basically bought overpriced real estate that, in essence, is probably 30 to 40% overvalued to begin with.
Do you think, in your opinion, with the amount of foreign buyers that are no longer buying in Vancouver, will you start seeing a difference in Toronto? Let me go to the article. Okay, here, let's look at the next article here. Let me just read the title to you. Chinese real estate portal says investment in Vancouver is flat as a pancake. The article goes on to say that Chinese investors have went south to Seattle, and I've been talking about that for the last year and a half, and have went east to Toronto since the foreign buyers tax went into place. Now that Vancouver is seeing it's flat as a pancake, do you think Toronto will see inclines? Because the price of a house is half the price than what it is in Vancouver. The average, a teardown is like $2 million in Vancouver. So do you think that will draw more people to Toronto now that Vancouver is flat as a pancake?
Well, I guess the short answer is yes. All it takes in order to get around the foreign buyer tax, simply enough, is to buy an entire floor, or at least 5 units or more in a condo building. For exempt. In Toronto, that is.
In Toronto.
That's another reason why condos are going nuts, especially from a pre-construction standpoint, or even an assignment standpoint. They're going absolutely insane. They can, it's very, very easy to go ahead and plop down $2 million, $2.5 million, and buy 5 condos. However, if they're looking at the detached market, they have to buy 5 lots.
They have to buy what, 5?
5 lots.
5 lots, yeah. So
that's the magic number. So Kathleen Wynne, our dear friend there, that's basically absolutely ruined the province. But yeah. I don't want to get political on anybody, but we are. All signs point that we're getting a new government very, very shortly, and that's a good thing. In any event, yes, that's what she did there, and there are loopholes. And as long as they have the money, then you know what, and they can buy 5 condos, or at the moment they buy an apartment building, bang, right away they're exempt from the foreign buyer tax.
Yeah, I hear you.
To answer your question, yes.
Okay, so that they can see that, because right now Seattle and outside Seattle areas like Olympia and other cities outside are experiencing anywhere from $3,000 to $20,000 a month gains. And same thing in California. California's up and down right now because everyone's leaving California. And the mass numbers, the sheer numbers of people leaving California is phenomenal. But then there's more foreign investors moving in to take their place. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in the west coast of Canada. With Vancouver being flat as a pancake, where do people put their money right now? The stock market's too volatile. Gold market's not moving. Equity markets are terrible. The bond markets is crap. Where are people going to park their money? And I think still to this day, real estate is one of the safest places to put your market. Only if you're buying as like to settle down and live and not pay rent anymore. But if you're buying for speculation, then you got to be very careful because you could fall right out of the bottom. You know what I'm saying?
Right, and I have some Chinese clients, some Asian clients, and a few Asian friends that have been in Canada for decades. Mm-hmm. They have some friends that come over and have bought in real estate, but that's really slowing down because you're right. They're going to go to the U.S. where the economy is doing a lot better than Canada. Mm-hmm. They take one look at the federal government and one look at the Ontario Liberals and say, why would I even remotely put my money here?
Yeah, exactly.
That might change, but they're going to greener pastures where things are a little more stable. And, I mean, you know what? Trump's done a lot of horrible things, but he's done a lot of great things to bring jobs back. He's a businessman. He's not, an incredible businessman. He's not very smart, but at the same point in time, he's made enough mistakes so that he kind of sort of knows how to run a business in a roundabout way. His wealth obviously was captured and happened based on his father. His father was the real brains of the operation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So here's the other article that ties in. Foreign buyers overlooking Vancouver and heading to Seattle in a frantic pace.
Absolutely.
And I think the ones that went to Seattle after that foreign buyers tax was implemented in Vancouver were the smarter ones. So, anyways, so I got the housing market up here. Another article here where Americans are starting to spend more than expected when buying their house. And it's not looking good, man. I got another article open here with the Business Insider from the United States saying people have stopped paying their mobile home loans, and it's a warning sign for the economy. So, I mean, delinquencies are up. Everything looks like it's ready for a hurricane of disaster. You got the prices kind of trickling upwards in Vancouver. Then you got the prices declining in Toronto and surrounding area. Once this meets up, and then you got Alberta housing prices starting to trickle upwards. You got Manitoba prices plummeting. You got Nova Scotia prices going down. Oh man, it's just the perfect storm for a housing phenomenon. Like I said, this summer it's going to be the great housing blame game. Who is going to be blamed for what?
I agree.
Is it the foreign investors? Is it the banks for being lax? Is it the Canadian immigration for letting people in with duffel bags full of money? Is it the government for not paying attention to what's really going on? Is it going to be the real estate agents themselves that lied to the customers and told them that housing will still keep going up no matter what? Whose fault is it anyways?
Well, I'm reading the comments section. The Perfect Storm was a great movie, indeed it was. And JW just actually signed in. He's a wealth of wisdom as well. I believe he's in the Markham area, Markham, Ontario.
Okay.
Got hit hard, but I digress. Who is to blame? Well, I think it's a mixed bag. Everybody wanted to get rich real quick, real fast. They took on a lot of risk. They had the fear of missing out, FOMO. There was a number of different things. Organized real estate has, they never made so much money. They were printing money. Mm-hmm. So there's a number of different people in sectors and organizations value could very well go down a whole heck of a lot more, because unless they sell to another foreign buyer, they have to sell to a Canadian. And if a Canadian can only afford and qualify for X amount of dollars, well, guess what? Ladies and gentlemen, that's how much the property's worth.
Yeah! Exactly! Thank you! It's only worth what people could afford to buy it for! I'm just gonna round of applause here for that. Thank you. That's really good, because that is what I've been trying to say the last, 6 years of this housing crisis I've been covering on YouTube. Is because people need to be able to afford what they could buy. If they can't afford it, guess what? They're bought out. And when they're bought out, the banks start tweaking the interest rates to make it more affordable for the average person to afford. And they keep tweaking the interest rates and tweaking it till it's at nothing. And guess what? The equity markets start to crumble because money's for free, and you start seeing this huge bubble evolve. And what happens when a bubble gets big enough? It breaks. And that's what's happening. Now interest rates need to come back to normal levels because our economy is struggling. Our GDP is horrible. And to catch up with the Americans right now, it's gonna take a miracle. So what do? They gotta raise the interest on student loans. They gotta raise the interest on unsecured debt. They have to raise the interest on car loans. They have to raise the interest on housing. And it's just like everything else, it needs to go up to support our infrastructure and our economy. We're not building anything. We're not shipping anything. We're not fabricating anything. We sold all our jobs to China. They got rich, and now they're coming back here to buy us out.
That's exactly right. Have you been? Were you on BNN at all today?
I don't really watch CNN. I was watching. I think today I was watching RT, and I think I was watching some news from Australia.
No. BNN, Business News Network.
Oh, BNN. I think you said CNN. BNN? No, not today. Not today. I haven't. I was on Bloomberg today, actually.
So Kevin O'Leary and other, I know not everybody likes Mr. Wonderful, but he is a very, very savvy businessman and investor. But also some of the chartered bank CEOs were chiming in. And it's funny how you mentioned we have to catch up with the U.S. If we don't do something real quick, real fast, and start giving better yields, we're going to have a huge problem. And it's all over BNN right now. It's on their homepage. Direct investment in Canada is collapsing. Kevin O'Leary reported on this. There was a number of other people. It's actually going to be real bad if interest rates don't go up. But
it has to. If our interest rates don't go up, it's because it's the working poor, middle class that's going to pay and carry this economy. There's no one else that's going to do it. If the interest rates don't go up to suitable levels to offset, or the only thing is gas is going to go up to $20 a liter. That's the only way they could subsidize our economy somehow, is putting gas at $20 a liter and paying $1,000 a week for food. That's the only way they could subsidize it, is by taking it from the working poor.
Then we'll become North Korea.
Exactly. So then you're going to have countries like other countries buying out our debt and then eventually owning us.
We'll be for sale to the highest bidder. But there's actually an interesting article on BNN. Stephen Pollard is basically he's eyeing exports, wages, investment ahead of the rate decision. He's not a dumb guy. He knows exactly what's going on. I think that a rate hike is going to happen. I don't believe it's fully priced in. Times. I think by July he's going to have to raise interest rates. But at the current moment, you have to sit back and realize how many people took 2-3-year terms.
Oh yeah, they're done, because their TDS, their total debt service ratio, when you look at their TDS, and if they were at 45% or higher, and they just fit within that gray area, they're screwed. Because it goes up 1%, they're screwed. Their TDS goes up to 60 points. It goes up 3%, their TDS is way out of whack. There's no way they could service their debt.
I totally agree. Now imagine if that same person that's struggling, bank, to re-sign a mortgage renewal, finds out that his house doesn't appraise at what he bought it. In actual fact, it's down $150,000, $200,000.
Then that changes the LTV. The loan to value changes. once the loan to value changes, what he's going to have to do is, there's several things that lending institutions could do, but something needs to, there will be a correction. He'll have to like make up that gap, like the other article I was reading about the Oakville homes. They'll have to make up that gap somehow. So something has to be done. Like there has to be some sort of a gap repayment. There's something has to, they're going to get some sort of a side loan or something on the side. It goes down that much, and the buddy needs to either file for bankruptcy or drop his keys off to the bank, because why are you going to pay for something worth less than what you bought it for?
Absolutely. And it's interesting, you caught that article, better dwelling, how organized real estate say, bankruptcies are down, so on and so forth. Things are looking okay, but they actually don't want to spin it and say, you know what, everybody in their end owns real estate and everybody's over leveraged. They can't go bankrupt. They need a place to live. So they're going to resort to consumer proposal. No wonder consumer proposal is going through the roof.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. And then people are like, oh, this article looks like everything's in good standings right now. You should pay attention, Mike, to articles. I'm like, no, people don't understand. It's yes, people need a place to live, but not only that is, I think there's going to be, you know what? I don't even know how to put this into words, how bad things, they cannot fathom how bad things are right now. They have no idea how bad things are right now. Their grandkids don't even know how bad they have it, and they haven't even been born yet.
Well, interesting you say that, because there's going to be a mass, evaporation of paper wealth, of all these ethereal gains, big gains, with respect to housing as an asset class. It's going to happen. And somebody in the comments section asked if I was Ross K. No, I'm not Ross K. Way better looking than Ross K, if I may say so myself. But anyhow, nevertheless, the situation as it sits right now is a lot of people don't realize what's happening here. And it goes back to my original point. A house is only worth what, I can pay for it, what Mike can pay for it. And the Liberals have done a lot of great things for these baby boomers over the last 15 years. They've allowed for their largest asset that they will ever own in their life to inflate to new astronomical levels. And now who's going to pay for those houses? How are these people going to retire? I'd like to know how many baby boomers.
86% of baby boomers are going into retirement with mortgages. And they can't service the mortgages with their pension.
Well, that's an issue, because we can't afford to pay the mortgage, and they can't afford to service it. So what ends up happening? People, wake up.
People don't understand. But you know what? I want to tie in a really slightly off-topic question. I want to know your opinion on this. It's kind of important, because I'm seeing things forecasting a certain way. Let me tell you what's going to happen, I think, in the next 5 years, in my opinion. I have a feeling that with the new Chinese gold currency backup, and now with Venezuela doing a cryptocurrency for their oil, I have a feeling that Canada, United States might join and create the Amero like they planned 5 years ago, where they create one currency. I think it won't be enough economic-wise, because Canada's on the brink. I think Mexico will join too, because Mexico has a lot more millionaires per capita than we do in Canada, because they have a lot of millionaires in Mexico. If you go out of the cities and go to those countrysides, it'd be phenomenal, the amount of expats, lots of money out in Mexico. So I'm thinking Mexico, Canada, United States joining to create the Amero like they talked about a decade ago. But I have a feeling that Canada and the United States might become one country, because Canada can't save itself even if it tried. I think Canada will be so insolvent, or so much in debt, or so much out of whack, that America will need to take, or Canada needs to become America. What are the odds of that happening in the next 5 years? Because it's really bad.
Well, I think we'd have to hit rock bottom, and we're close, depending on how things kind of sort of pan out with the trade wars and everything that may or may not occur. So that will absolutely happen 100%. I think there may still be two different degrees of currency. I think in order to have one currency being traded, Canada and the U.S. would have to ultimately become one country.
Do you think Canada's better off becoming one country with the U.S. in your opinion?
Whether we like it or not, we're nothing without the U.S. So, with respect to that, you know, we are the U.S. When they sneeze, we get a cold. So we are already so tied to the U.S. It's not even funny. So in essence, we are the U.S. Whatever the U.S. does, we have to follow suit, and that's one of the main reasons why interest rates have to go up, because now you're dividing the wealth between America and Canada, and Canada will become, you know, for all intents and purposes, a third world country if interest rates don't go out. Our economy will implode on itself if interest rates don't go up. The banking sector will basically be in the shitter, and you'll see this mass wealth that's currently happening right now just escalate and go to the U.S.
That's what's happening, and the aggregation against the rising interest rates is inflation, and inflation keeps going up, and we're not we're our GDP, our growth domestic product, our exports, our gross domestic product exports and imports. I mean, if we're importing more than what we're exporting, I mean, we're looking at a really sketchy summer ahead of us. Really sketchy summer when it comes to, like, you know how they're propping up numbers for real estate, and there's pro real estate. There's, you know how many how much that's happening when it comes to Canada's wealth and wellness and exports, and they lie about how much immigrants come into the country. You know what I'm saying? How can we even trust? So how do we know how to fix something if we don't even know what's wrong with it, if we're not getting the data?
Well, I don't think the proper data exists because the faith in the economy would basically just erode overnight. If people only knew what organized real estate does to massage numbers, you know, every month in order to make things seem like they're still okay. And people are still actually looking at it, and the Globe and Mail is you know, hanging on for dear life. A 0.5% increase. Yet look what happened with all of the gains. They're virtually wiped out.
Yeah, like 2017 never happened.
Yeah, they're calling it an anomaly.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. In essence, it is. But I'll share something with you. I have some very, very wealthy clients that went ahead and speculated on Canadian real estate, and I sat back and I watched. Some of them got caught with their pants down, and some of them made off like a bandit.
Mm-hmm.
They will always be speculators. And do you know where that speculation money is going? Not to be confused with foreign buyers.
No.
Anybody with a brain is buying real estate in the U.S. They are not speculating on Canadian real estate because they know exactly where it's going, and it is going down.
Yeah, exactly. That's why a lot of people are fleeing to the United States right now to pick up property, because I think U.S. property, yes, with the amount of foreign speculation going into the U.S. right now, the U.S., I mean, they have, I don't know how many millions and millions of homes. I think they're close to like 285 million or 350 million. I don't even remember how many constructed units they have in the U.S. So U.S. will be picked apart state by state if they don't fix their issue in the West Coast, because everything's heading east, like I've been saying for the longest time. In my opinion, I think Canada would be better off being part of the United States in a way, because our healthcare is crumbling here. It's falling apart. What else? There's so many things. It's just everything you do nowadays has strings attached. No matter what you do nowadays, you get your car fixed, you buy a house, you take a trip. There's always strings attached to everything that you're not sure about, and it becomes a bigger and bigger and bigger problem. I think our freedoms are disappearing. I think it's just a bad predicament right now to be in right now, where we are with Canada. We need to start producing. We need to start buying back our mines from the foreign investors that bought them, and start hiring back these unions and hiring back Canadian miners. It's turning into a total gong show, and I don't know where things are headed.
Well, I mean, I wish it was that easy. I'm not an economist, and I don't claim to be. It would be great to see jobs come back to Ontario and Alberta and Vancouver, and then basically coast to coast. And I think the employment numbers will be a lot better once interest rates go up. People start to reset and understand where things are at, and know your house isn't going to go up 10, 20, 30% year over year.
Yeah.
That's not healthy. If your house goes up at the rate of inflation, which basically is a direct correlation to what your cost is to own the home with respect to your taxes or maybe your mortgage, your overall carrying costs. If it's going up at the rate of inflation, you're doing okay, and that's a healthy market with a healthy interest rate.
Let me ask you one more question. Where do you see wages going in the next 5 years? Because there's a lot of robots taking over, hamburger flipping robots, and people are demanding higher wages, but people are working jobs that 20 years ago, these jobs were a pass-through job while you were in college to pay off your student loans till you got a real job when you graduated. Now people are demanding higher wages, let's say serving coffee or flipping hamburgers. Where do you see in the next 5 years wages going? And is that going to drive away potential employers from investing in Canada?
Well, if robots do that, and we succumb to that, the U.S. will also have the same problem. When you're making reference to fast food industry and all that other stuff. If you look at the automotive sector, have really put a decline in jobs. However, someone's always going to have to be there to make sure that these robots are actually doing the job. They
Human beings, yeah.
Times faster. But I see the middle class evaporating. I see once the demographic cliff and the baby boomers start to die off, I see basically an impoverished economy and the new elite.
Okay. Someone's commenting in the comment section, yes, it's spreading. Peterborough and Ajax. And I think they're on the topic there of money laundering. And
money laundering is a big problem. There's a lot of ill-gotten money that's in the real estate market that needs to be cleaned up, and the Canada Revenue Agency can't get to it fast enough. They're worried about attacking small business owners for writing off their vehicles and pens and papers and other stuff because they're favorable litigation targets. They got skin in the game, they got money in the bank, and they can't go anywhere.
That's correct. That's 100%. And then that's disgusting, to be honest with you. I'm a small business owner, and I've already been audited twice, and both times I had to pay my accountant to tell them what they already know. You know what I'm saying? And it's sad. You know what I mean? But
absolutely,
it's sad.
Let me ask you a question. With the irrational exuberance that's going on in Vancouver, and a lot of people going to Seattle and the U.S., where do you see Toronto real estate going in the next we'll call it 3 to 6 months, and ultimately in a year's time? Where do you see that, Mike?
Toronto? Toronto's going to fall, at the bottom's going to fall right into Toronto. Toronto, people are super over leveraged, and a lot of people, the mistake that people made in Toronto, a majority of people made in Toronto, was they started to compete with the foreign investors, and that was a big mistake. When the housing crisis in Vancouver started picking up 7, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, when I moved to Vancouver, I started realizing I can't compete with these people. Yeah, I got a good wage. Yeah, I do well. But you know what? I still can't compete with these people because they're bringing in money that, you know what I'm saying? So, Toronto, a lot of the people made the mistake. In trying to compete with the foreign investors, and then the Canadian proper and the working poor, middle class is suffering right now in Ontario. And I think because Toronto is not Vancouver and Vancouver is not Toronto, you're going to see the bottom fall out of Toronto in the next 6 to 8 weeks. It's going to keep going down. And or a bunch of investors start seeing the bottom come out and come and save the day and start buying up more properties and leaving them empty. So there's two scenarios. One scenario is the bottom falls out of Toronto. There's a mass correction. People start delivering their keys to the bank. The pre-built people start taking the home builders to court. Blah, 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 and all that stuff. But then there's the other scenario where you got the foreign investors that are watching Toronto that are looking to buy 7 to 8, 9 properties the second it goes to a level that they feel that it hit bottom, and they come in and save the day, and then the Canadian proper and the middle class is completely bought out, and they still have to go further out of the GTA and further out to live a normal, balanced life. So those are the two scenarios I see happening.
Interesting. I think you're right on the money on at least one of them.
Mm-hmm.
In the next, 6 to 8 weeks, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're going to continue to see, sales not happening, becoming non-existent. And don't forget, all those organized real estate people, they need to eat. So that's going to affect certain things. All signs point to a recession within Canada, especially within Ontario, getting hit the hardest because of, the irrational exuberance that took place on the fear of missing out, and then competing, with and fighting against foreign buyers. And like you said, you're bringing a knife to a gunfight as a Canadian. You're going to lose one way or another, even if you end up buying the property, because you're going to overpay.
Mm-hmm.
But I think as interest rates start to rise, and anybody that thinks interest rates aren't going to rise is a bloody fool. Rates will rise. Whether they go up a 0.25%, 0.5%, 1%, they will rise in 2018. And I think a lot of people that are underwater or own real estate where their down payments have now basically evaporated into thin air, and now they're in the hole because they put down 15 or 20%. And their house went down 25, 30%. And it's just going to continue to go down and down and down until people, as an economy, with respect to Toronto and the greater Toronto surrounding area, until that consumer confidence comes back, we're going to start to see inventory levels rise. Therefore, house prices will come down.
And but do you see the foreign investors coming in to save the day and keep the prices before the bottom falls out?
No.
Because they sell a $2.5 million teardown in Vancouver. They swoop into a Toronto, houses down 40%, and start buying them up. And now they're not a foreign investor because depending on the laws or whatever with provincial laws, they already own property in Canada. So I'm just talking about loopholes and people swooping in to jump into Toronto before the bottom falls out when they think it's at the lowest it could be and basically taking it back over. Is that possible?
It is possible. It's hard to catch a falling knife. However, how do I put it this way? Foreign investors want to invest along with Canadians. Nobody wants to invest in an economy that is hit rock bottom, and it's very hard to catch a falling knife. But why would you go ahead and invest somewhere where it's going to be very hard to get your money out for quite some time when you can go across the pond value of your house is still going to be up.
Mm-hmm.
I just, you got to be half a moron to do that.
Yeah, well, of course.
And you know what? They may have ulterior motives. They may just need to get their money out. And Toronto,
park your money.
Sorry?
It's called parking your money. Parking, you know, parking, like you park your car? Well, they're parking money is what they're doing.
Yeah, any smart investor is not going to invest their money if they're in good sound mind and not under duress in an economy where the largest factor of GDP is declining rapidly.
That's right.
That's why we're seeing investment leave in droves.
Okay, watch this. Somebody was commenting in the comment section saying that the cost huge foreclosures in Alberta and they're being covered up or they're hiding it. So I opened up Calgary foreclosures, just Calgary, and there's a slew of articles from the last anywhere from 1 to 4 years, and it's going up. Job loss, debt blamed, Alberta foreclosures rise again. Foreclosures in Fort McMurray up sharply. Alberta about 25% annual past 2 years of foreclosures. Surviving foreclosure in Alberta. Calgary foreclosures spike 30% as investors look for deals. Casino Royale stock. Vegas hotel casino is basically what Alberta is for housing. So somebody commented in the comment section that Alberta's been huge foreclosures going on and they've been keeping it a secret or there hasn't been hitting the news. And it's true. It's true. I'm seeing tons of articles here, but they're not really, you know what I'm saying? So it's gonna happen to the smaller provinces or the smaller cities first, and I think it's going to spread out. That's just what I think, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of ways this could go, you know what I'm saying, Steve? There's a lot of ways this could go.
Absolutely. I'm not sure if you heard or not, but, you know, I can't really comment on the foreclosures. I'm going to look into it now because I have a lot of friends that are still out there but migrating back to Ontario and other provinces because they were laid off as tradespeople.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them I went to school with. Some of them I just know went out there and were making 3 and 4 times the money that they would make normally as a tradesperson. But I digress. I'm not sure if you heard or not, but Quebec values are going through the roof right now.
Yeah, I read that last week. Quebec values are up a couple of percent from last quarter. They're seeing values go up, and a lot of people in the comment section were saying if you want to buy now, buy in Quebec now before it's too late.
Well, they said that in Ontario too. Now look what happened.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But Quebec has a different economic standpoint, I guess, do you think? Or because I think Quebec is different than the rest of Canada, and I think they got other things going for them, I guess. I'm not sure.
Well, they have Bombardier there, and Trudeau owns that company, or at least gives them a whack of dough every time they shit the bed.
Yeah. Okay. So I know they got this plan where foreign people come in, give the Montreal the Quebec government what $800,000 or $2 million. I can't remember what it was. And then they live in Quebec, and then once they get their refund back or something, they move to another province. They move to a majority of all the people that live in BC that were foreign investors came from Quebec because they get some sort of a bonus for moving to Quebec, right? Or they pay. I don't know how that works. I read an article about it a few months back where they were saying Quebec is the major problem with foreign investors because they use Quebec as a hub to come into Canada. I don't know if remember that article I read.
Yeah, so it's the foreign program there. They actually, I'm not sure if you can search for it or not in real time, Mike, but they actually just increased the amount of money that foreigners have to pony up in order to get that status. I believe it went up to, I believe it went up a few $100,000
Yeah, okay. I just got the article up you brought up. It's Buzz News. I love Buzz News. It's like, do you remember that article I read last week about Buzz News? I was laughing my pants off saying, millennials are driving up the prices in Vancouver. Do you remember that? And millennials don't even are living with their parents and they can't even afford to buy a meal at McDonald's. And they're starting to say that millennials, that Buzz Network, News Network article I read last week, that the cause of housing prices going up are millennials in Vancouver rising the prices. Now, their article now is the one you brought up. 7 stats that show that the GTA housing market is starting to stabilize. This is the Rebound article.
Okay.
So this is the article. These guys, Buzz News, are 100% pro, 100 million percent pro real estates. They're 100% for the banks. So they break down in 7 rules or 7. I'll leave you the articles here. It's called 7 stats that show how the GTA housing market is starting to stabilize. And every time I read one of these articles from Buzz News, and look what they're saying in this other article. These 8 facts illustrate Calgary's slow start to a housing rebound during Q1 in 2018. So these guys are pro real estate.
In their mouth now.
Yeah, they're all pro real estate, these guys. Especially that Vancouver one I read last week. I couldn't stop laughing my butt off. I couldn't stop laughing when I read that article. Blaming the millennials for the rising house prices in the Vancouver area.
You can't blame somebody that doesn't have a pot to piss in.
That's correct. Thank you. Thank you for the backup. That's exactly what I was hoping to hear. And, yeah, so that's what's happening. So look at Buzz News. Called Buzz News Canada. I guess it's fake news for the pro banks and the pro real estate people, I guess, to ease and calm investors.
Hey, Trev could own it. How do we know?
Yeah. Who knows? 7 stats that show how Canada's GTA housing market is starting to stabilize. So let's take a look at this real quick. Number 1, home sales were down 35.7% last month in their peak of December 2017. On a quarter-over basis, sales were 24.2% lower than the fourth quarter of 2017. What the hell does that even mean? Okay, number 2, this is the second point. New listings were also down, dropping 7.4% in March, bringing the Q1 listings decline to a total of 36.3%. So how is this stabilizing? Number 3, the drop in listings pushed the sales to new listings ratio up 46.2% from 45.9% in February. A ratio between 40 to 60% is considered balanced territory, with readings above and below indicating sellers and buyers markets respectively. I don't know about that.
Well, you know what? It's funny you say that because organized real estate, including Buzz News, they love to throw the term balanced market out into the equation, and that directly correlates and represents the amount of inventory in terms of months or weeks of inventory on the market. Mm-hmm. Now, certain areas have more inventory than others, and they've created this buyer's market, seller's market, and in between a balanced market, and that's what they really truly strive, and in quotation marks, to have. Again, with respect to bringing back consumer confidence into the equation. Everybody wants to feel comfortable when they're trying to, trade real estate and buy real estate, so on and so forth. Otherwise, they just wouldn't do it. It just would not exist.
I'm just trying to look up Vancouver home here on Buzz News to see if I could find the millennials. I looked up Vancouver ho. Man, I can't spell tonight. Vancouver home.
Nowhere in the history of real estate has a market ever been balanced. House prices either go up or they go down. This, this is becoming an old wives' tale here with a balanced market. This is something that they introduced and injected into the equation to basically bring back consumer confidence. And, I mean, you know what? We could call a balanced market 4 months of inventory. We could call a balanced market 1 month of inventory. What makes it balanced? What truly is balanced in everybody's eyes? Well, you know what? People don't care what balance means with respect to 4 months, 2 months, 1 month of inventory. Does organized real estate say a balanced market is, you know, is it good for both sides? Yeah, they do. They say it's good for both sides, so we want a balanced market. So you know what? We need to get back out there and we need to start buying. Well, people are waking up. They're understanding that a balanced market is only good for the one physical transaction that they're involved in. They don't care what happens after their house, you know, closes and whatnot. They just want to make sure that they don't lose any money.
That's it. That's the bottom line. They just want to walk away ahead. But this is not what's happening right now, especially in the Greater Toronto area. No one's ahead right now. If they bought in the last year, they're screwed.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is the problem. So what happens now? Like you said earlier in the conversation, what happens now? What happens to the people that have to renew their mortgages? The interest rates go up. How are they going to loan to value? How are they going to make the loan to value fit if they don't have, and unless they have a lump sum of cash they saved on the side to put down on the house to pay down the mortgage? That's the only way I can see it. Unless they don't have that, they're screwed. They're going to be paying more for something that's worth less.
Right, and I don't think that the lenders or the banks want to see people leave their houses and just mail the keys back, because they're actually worse off. So if they can continue to make their mortgage payments, and the bank can still make money, that is not considered a bad debt. As much as, you know, bankers and lenders may look at it as, oh geez, if this guy walks tomorrow, I'm going to have to follow civil law and procedure in order to recover my money.
That's correct.
This guy's got nothing. He's bleeding. You know what? He needs a roof over his head, so he's going to still continue to pay his mortgage payment that incorporates, you know, prime and principal, and you know, interest and everything else. So they're still making money, so they're going to leave the guy in the house. They're not going to just pull the plug and say, well, you know what, our investment is no longer safe. We now are telling you need to sell your house. That would be absolutely stupid if they did that, because they'd have to do that to probably 30 or 40% of the people.
Oh, for sure. 30-40% is being very conservative. That's being generous. I think it's going to be like 50-60%, because like you said, a lot of people brought a knife to a gunfight and they wanted to compete with the foreign investors and play the speculation game, and now a lot of people are burnt.
Absolutely. Now, Ricky Tomatoes just brought something up about the Mattamy article. Yeah, that was covered.
I have it up right now. I read it at the beginning of the show. I got this article sent to me like 25 times today.
So it's interesting how Mattamy is kind of, how do I put it this way? It happened also in Whitby, where they lowered phase 2 by $100,000 or $150,000.
Yeah.
Better upgrades and better appliances.
But what about the people that bought a year before that paid $100,000 more?
Well, that's the whole thing. They now have to. The house isn't closed yet, and now the lender is going to send an appraiser out and say, well, what's phase 2 selling? And it's the easiest thing to do. The appraiser doesn't even have to get off its butt. He's just going to say, whoa. They can buy the same property, the same house, with better, you know, better appliances, better finishings, and upgrades for $150K less. Well, guess what? That property's no longer worth what the original piece of toilet paper that they got in terms of a pre-approval or pre-qualified.
That's right. So it's called the name. It's called They have been trapped in a unique period in the Toronto area housing market. That's what they're calling it. A unique period in the Toronto housing market. That's what they're calling it. A unique period.
Is that code for bloodbath?
Yes. Blood on the streets. That's what it is.
Oh, JW actually made an interesting comment in the comment section. He said they will offer subprime type renewals. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he meant by that 150%. We do have subprime, but
yeah.
I mean, we just call it something different. But I just don't. If they're going to keep the bleeding going and going, you know, and how long do they have to keep it before they ultimately have to pull the plug?
Someone's commenting here saying, it's getting interesting. You can't produce anything with these house prices. Look at the Melbourne last year. The most livable city now is a SHI whole ranking 10 this year. Yeah, Australia's got its own sum of problems. And for the Australian viewers right now watching my show, I'm really sorry I did not get to any of the Australian articles here. I'll do a show maybe on Saturday or Friday. Sorry, not Friday. Saturday or Sunday, I'll do an Australian show covering Australia and New Zealand because there's quite a few articles I want to get through there for all the folks living down under that are experiencing this housing crisis down there, especially people living in Perth, where homes went down, I think, at least 50% because the mining industry went down. And, yeah, negative amortization. That's what someone commented there. Negative amortization. That's what it is. Anyway, Steve, I'm gonna go to sleep, man. I've been on the air for 2 hours and 2 minutes, and I'm gonna go see my kids before I go to bed. It's 9 p.m. here. It's midnight there at your time, and I think it's like 3 p.m. right now in Australia. And people are catching the show there. But yeah,
Mike.
we should do a Rants and Lifestyle maybe in a week or two, just talking about outside of politics and outside of the housing crisis, and talking about maybe what's happening with wars and what's happening with the trade wars we're going through, what's happening, you know, with foreign economies, how it's affecting us here in Canada. Maybe we should do something like that, eh? What do you think?
I think that would be brilliant.
Perfect. Well, Steve, thank you for calling, guy. I appreciate your call every time we help me co-host the show. It means a lot to me. And have yourself a good Thursday morning there. And
certainly will.
And we'll keep in touch, okay?
Yeah, you have yourself a great night. And if you're speaking with the Lost Canuck, have him reach out. I tried to send him an email. Just respect to this.
Get him on Facebook too. Get him on Facebook. He's on Facebook.
Yeah, I'm not on Facebook, but maybe I'll have to create an account to reach out because is he going down to that thing on the? I'm a firm believer that we'll be kicked out in the first 5 minutes, but we'll make an effort.
Why would you be kicked out if you buy tickets?
Well, if you're not pro and you're not drinking the same Kool-Aid as them and you're outspoken and so on and so forth. I mean, I'd love to ask Pitbull what he knows about real estate.
Yeah, Pitbull. Yeah, of course. See what he knows, and Sylvester Stallone, what he knows about knockout strategies, from negative to positive with Pitbull, and then Shark Tank, and then Dragon's Den, top $1 million agent. I mean, I don't know. I just see it as more as a good liar. Does that make sense? I don't know. Ooh, Magic Johnson! I'd just probably go there just to see Magic Johnson. Who cares about the housing expo?
Mike, you should fly in, buddy. Take the fam.
Oh, I don't know, man. I got my staff, the guys that work for me are in school. They're in high school, so they're in school. It's hard for me to. I don't mind leaving my store with my staff for a week or two. They're pretty competent. They're good kids. The problem is they're in school. So it's kind of hard, you know. Summertime is my best bet. Anyways, we'll keep in touch. When I visit Toronto, I'm going to Toronto this summer. Maybe we'll meet up for a coffee or something, okay?
Have a beer, buddy. Forget the coffee.
Yeah, we'll get a whiskey. I like a nice stiff whiskey.
Rob, we'll get you a whiskey, pal. You have yourself a great night.
Good night, Steve.
Bam.
God bless you.
Cheers, bud.
Okay, bye. So that was Steve, a guy who pretty much calls in on a weekly basis, giving his update on the East Coast, on what's happening in the eastern part of Canada. And, yeah, it's been a long night, guys. I've been here for 2 hours. So let me know, hit me up if you're going down to this real estate show, Wealth Expo in Toronto on Saturday, April 7th. I'd like to know, maybe you guys can meet up with Steve and the Lost Canuck, who will be there. We could organize something and get some t-shirts made or something just to organize it a bit. You know what I'm saying? Organize a group, maybe get a shuttle bus down there. Anyways, guys, I am going to go to sleep. I am tired. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining. Thanks for the people that called in. Great callers tonight. Thank you, guys. I'm done. I'm beat. Go to the Walking Journey. He might be live right now if you want to see some more live internet. And next week's show is going to be very interesting because more Q1 numbers will be trickling in from other provinces, and we will forget what we talked about this week because we're going to open up a new can of worms next week. And the week after, last week of April, I think it's going to be crazy. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section if you're watching this on replay, and I'll do an Australia, New Zealand follow-up show sometime during the week. Thanks for watching, guys, and have a good night.